Hello everyone, just Goran here, and welcome to this behind the scenes video of the Congoline boat tour that I built for Tharmachati Zoo. I've been meaning to make this video ever since the video came out on Iben's channel about half a year ago. By the way, make sure to watch that video if you haven't already. That video will go over the final result. I recorded clips at various points during that process, so this video will take you all the way from the original concept to how that concept ended up changing and stuff throughout making it. So enough from current day me, I'm gonna hand over my microphone to 9 months ago me, who just finished his plans for the original Congoline, not in Planet Zoo, but on paper. The main idea I had for this project was that I really wanted to focus on audio, a story of you going on your adventure through the Congo River. And to realize this, I wanted to hire an actual Thai voice actor to speak all of those lines and really make it feel like you are in a Thai zoo. Of course, to be able to hire someone to voice all of those lines, I would need to have all the lines I need ready. So I got to work on planning the entire story and the ride, starting with the animals. Iben gave me a list of species they wanted to have in this ride, which were the okapi, the bongo, the bonobo, and the pygmy hippo, a bit of an outlier because they're not actually from Congo, but it was a cool animal to feature in the river ride. And after doing some research myself, I also wanted to add the giant pangolin because I had a really cool idea for like a habitat that is like a burrow in the side of the riverbank, and gorillas because the Congo rainforest is like home to many species of primate, and I wanted to represent that a little bit more. It turns out that giant pangolins aren't really that common in zoos, like at all. So I decided to scrap that and use an aardvark instead. So with the species list done, I started the story with what I wanted the ride to feature. So first here we have going through like a misty area, which kind of transfers you to the Congo jungle. And you could have like a voice line go like, "Welcome to the Congo River." And then the first habitat, which will be the bongo. And here you'll hear like facts about the bongo and stuff. The pangolin burrow, you can kind of see what I had in mind, like you've got foliage on top. You can see into the burrow basically. Then here we have a village area, which I'm kind of leaning more towards just disguising backstage areas as village now, but at first I had the idea of going past like a village area, possibly. And then next up is the okapi habitat, which my initial plan was kind of limited views, but it is the main attraction of the ride. I want to have it kind of in the back, in the middle of the ride. That's kind of the high point, is getting to the okapi, which is like the most iconic animal of the Congo. Then this is a pretty fun idea I had, which really kind of emphasizes the story aspect of the ride a lot more. I kind of want the boat to get like really close to the edge of a waterfall, and you can have like the tour guide going like, "Oh no, Captain, we're gonna fall." And then the boat like quickly steers away. It's kind of the most like Disneyland-esque thing that I have here. And then lastly we have a bunch of habitat ideas for like the pygmy hippo and the gorillas. Nothing too fancy there. And I kind of wanted to have the bonobo climbing over top of the river, but I don't think that's going to be feasible. So I've already kind of iterated quite a bit with these ideas because I've been working on them for about a week. So yeah, with all of those plans finished out, I started to write down a whole bunch of voice lines that I might need. I'm still going to kind of maybe trim this down or expand it. I don't want to hire anyone yet because I feel like I might still come up with things. Like just a day ago, I was like, oh, I should probably have a voice line for like don't feed the animals. So this is still kind of a work in progress. But you can see that I have both Thai and English voice lines. Basically, only the main important voice lines are also going to be in English, and the rest is all going to be in Thai, because we are in a Thai zoo. So yeah, at this point I took a look at the file that Iben had sent me on Discord to kind of get a lay of the land, know what sort of area I was going to be working with, and I started to sketch out kind of a top-down view of the area, how I had it in mind. I had this idea that I wanted the visitor path to also go past some of the habitats, but not all of it. Like the okapi is going to be the main attraction, kind of exclusive to the boat ride. And in the middle here you'll have the entrance to the ride and a little square with like a small gift shop, stuff like that. I really want to have the path kind of go over the water at some point. You can have like a bridge and you can see the boat ride go under you. I think that would be really fun. Only problem is that since the ride is going to be a circle, you're going to have to cross it again. So I didn't want to make a second bridge, so I came up with the ride going through a little misty cave of some sort, and the path can then go over top that. And who knows, maybe inside that cave we'll be able to put a exhibit animal, if there is one that fits the area. And yeah, after that I kind of just started to write down some more random ideas, some exhibit designs, like, oh yeah, having Okapi next to the river over here. I read that Okapi like to lick bat poo, so I was thinking maybe we can have like a dark cave somewhere with a billboard of like just glowing eyes. That can be like the bats, and there can be like stalagmites or stalactites with bat droppings on them, and then a little education sign like, oh, did you know Okapi, we can eat shit. So yeah, that was pretty much all the random stuff that I just was me just spewing ideas. Next up I started to read some husbandry manuals. So over here you can see what that led to for like the Okapi design. The husbandry manual mentions that you shouldn't have any deep water in the Okapi enclosure, so I figured instead of having them next to the river, it's probably better to have a dry moat with a fence inside that's kind of hidden from the view of the boat, so it looks like you're just going straight into the habitat and right next to that, but there is actually a fence there. You just can't see it. For the pygmy hippo, I wanted to just have the water kind of be connected, but have rocks and logs in there, and then the rest is all just kind of random ideas, like, oh, I want to have a lot of elevation in the gorilla habitat. And then I read the husbandry manual for the bonobo and the gorilla, and the main takeaway from that was that you need a lot of space between the visitors and the animals, so to make sure that they don't jump across. They also use electric fences in the moat for the bonobo, at least, so that's something I'll probably put in. And then for like the walls that are going to be on the other side of the enclosure, the climbing frames need to be 4 meters from the walls to prevent the animals from jumping from the climbing frames to the walls, and the walls need to be at least 5 meters high, and it's preferred if you have a little bit of an overhang as well. So that's stuff that we're all going to be implementing. Gorillas are mostly the same. The spaces are a little bit different. The walls don't need to be 5 but 4 meters high. So yeah, probably going to make them 5 anyway for consistency's sake. But yeah, that's pretty much what we got so far. So next up I am actually going to jump in-game and do a little test with this boat ride that I made. I want to see if it is possible for me to sync up the voice lines with the ride, because there is no real way of doing that in-game at the moment. So I am going to have to find a little workaround for that. So what I'm going to try is to record a video of the entire boat ride, from starting the ride all the way to having it loop another time around. And then I'll be able to take that video and put in the audio clips for each of the sign and export those separately to put on each of the individual speakers. And then I can also add an audio cue so that I will know when to start the ride to have it sync up to all of the speakers, basically. Hope that makes sense. Let's see if it works. Alright, so I actually got it to work, believe it or not. Over here we can hear some drums. And oh crap, and now I missed my cue. Okay, wait, so when the big boom comes is when you have to press start. So gotta time it properly, but it does work. So let me just wait for it to come around again, which will take about a minute. There we go, that was perfect timing. So now the boat is gonna go, and we can actually get on the ride. And we will hear, as we pass each of these signs, we'll hear me saying the number. 1. There we go. So yeah, that is just the exact timing. And that works for each of the signs. I haven't timed them all super well, because I kind of just did it very quickly. But as we pass the 2, we'll hear the 2. 2. And so on and so on. So I'm going to be able to use that to time all of the different voice lines. There's going to be about like 15 of them, so it's going to be a lot of work, because this is actually already quite a bit of work to set up. But yeah, that one's not timed very well, but this is feasible, so that's actually really, really cool. It's a bit of a hassle to get the timing right, but if I put in more cues, then you won't have to wait like 15 minutes for your cue if the ride is going to be like a lot longer. So yeah, I think that will all work really, really well, and we're actually going to be able to do this. So I don't know what else to talk about, really. I'm really just really excited for this. It's gonna be great. Oh yeah, one thing that I should probably also mention is that I did make it so that it keeps looping. So it just went through the station, and now as it's gonna pass the 1, it's gonna just say 1 again. 1. So it keeps working once you get the timing correctly until you pause the game, because that's when it starts to get out of sync. And one more thing I should probably quickly mention is that while trying to find a little drum beat that is the timing to start the thing, I was on freesound.org, which is a great website where you can find all sorts of free sound effects, little bits of music, and just all sorts of things. And you can actually search for licensed Creative Commons 0, which is public domain, which means you can use it for just about anything. No need to credit anyone, no need to do really anything. You can just use it and it's all fine. So I searched for Drum African with the Creative Commons 0 license and actually found a number of really cool things. We've got tribal music. We've got a drum loop. That is just a 3-second loop, and it sounds really great and happy, so it'll probably be useful. And we've got this one, which is the one I used. And then this one, which is just really great. It sounds very spooky and ominous, which is exactly what I want, because we're going into the dangerous freaking Congo jungle. It's gonna be great. So these will definitely come in handy. On top of things from like the YouTube audio library, and I think Iben uses Epidemic Sound, but I don't have that. I'm not paying for that, so I can't use that for my videos. But alright, so I got the file today, and I immediately got to work putting down and laying out the kind of tour that I had in mind. I made a couple of adjustments here and there. Basically, what I wanted to try to achieve is to get as much variation in exhibits to the left and to the right as possible. So over here, as we go through this tunnel, we're probably going to have an exhibit maybe on the left here. Then over here we've got the bongos on the right, and over here we've got the aardvark on the left, pygmy hippo on the right. Then here's going to be the little waterfall adventure area thing, and maybe in the distance you'll already be able to kind of see the okapi habitat. And then it's a little bit of a double take here with the pygmy hippo being on the right. Okapi is also going to be on the right, but on the left you might get like a glimpse of the indoor bonobo area over here. Then we got the bonobos on the left. As we turn around all the way over here, you're going to get the gorillas on the right. And that is the boat ride pretty much planned out. You can see all these concrete things that's kind of backstage in place. So we got indoor areas for the gorillas, the bonobos, okapi, pygmy hippo, and the bongo. Staff road access over here. We're gonna also need to have a staff road probably going along the bottom of this dam over here. That's gonna bring you to the okapi stall. And yeah, we've got some paths. I think these are fine. I was thinking maybe they're a little bit long, like you have to walk pretty far to get where you want, but I don't think I can get it much smaller, to be honest, without making everything really cramped, really. The only thing is that this area is a little empty, which I'm not super happy with, but who knows? I think it might actually be fine. I'm thinking of putting like a sign here that's like Congo River, yeah, tells you what this area is. And yeah, people will be able, I haven't connected these paths up yet because it's just kind of temporary, but people will be able to walk up over here, cross a little rope bridge, wait, there we go, cross a little rope bridge over here, and then make their way back down to this kind of main area where there's going to be the station and a small gift shop over here, I think. And you can go back out this way, go over the cave area, and back down to the path here. Or, you know, if you're coming from the other side, you can go up that way. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I feel like I want to expand the cave a little bit, because the way I envisioned it, you wouldn't really see the guests from down here too much. They would be a bit more obscured by foliage, so I think I'm gonna expand this tunnel to maybe about over here and then get the path more in the middle. But yeah, that's all things that I can do whenever, kind of. So yeah, from the path you're gonna have a viewing into the gorilla from over here and into bongo from over here. So I think that's gonna be pretty nice. And yeah, probably also gonna make a small viewing for the gorillas from this path, because otherwise it's gonna be a very long path with no animals. Unless I have no idea what Iben is gonna add to all of this. Alright, so second little test here as you're coming by the Pygmo Hippie, yeah sure, habitat. You get to see all of this fog in the background over there, and if you're lucky, you might already see an okapi. I've got a little red zebra thing over there that you might be able to see. So it's like, ooh, we're getting close to the okapi, but then the dangerous, the ominous music will start over here somewhere, and everything will go wrong. Like, wait, is that a waterfall? Captain, we're going straight to the waterfall. Oh no! I think it might actually be a little too obvious seeing the okapi and stuff. It's definitely gonna make sure that there's some heavy foliage here. But yeah, this is where you get like, oh, we're dangerously close to the waterfall. And yeah, this is where you start to get there. I think we might actually be able to do something like yeah, oh, we can see the okapi. Let's try to get close, but then it's gonna be the waterfall stuff. That'll be pretty cool. Yeah, we were just able to steer away, and that's where we're gonna get to it. Alright, that works. That's pretty cool. So what is pretty cool about it, and about the fact that we're doing this boat ride situation, is that from the boat itself, you can't really look down into where the waterfall's going into. So I don't actually think I have to make this hole any deeper than it is, because you can't really look into it anyway. And then we add all of this fog to make it like all anonymous, but also to hide the fact that this hole is just as shallow as it is, basically. And then what I intend to do is add some speakers at the bottom here that are gonna make some like very loud waterfall noises to make it really sound like a huge waterfall. But if you kind of break the immersion and take the camera out, you'll see that it's basically nothing. I think that will be really funny. Alright, so I finished all the voice lines, both Thai, English, moods, and all sorts of things. I think this should do. I really hope it does, because I also have already gotten in touch with a voice actress. I posted a job on the freelancer site Upwork, which is basically like Fiverr, maybe you know that one. It's a place to hire freelancers to do pretty much anything. And yeah, posted a job there of wanting these voice lines recorded in Thai and English. I got 2 replies from people, and I also I invited 2 workers there as well, and one of those got back to me, and she was pretty excited, and we had a little back and forth about what I wanted and what she was able to give, and we arranged a contract, and there we go. She is going to record these lines for us, and I should have them in a couple of days, so that's pretty exciting. Alright, so I've been building some huts and buildings and stuff around the village area of the Congoline, but who really cares about that? I'll show it all later. I just got all of the voice lines that the voice actors that I hired recorded for me. So we've got a version 1, a version 2, and an English version. So lots of things to choose from, and they all sound freaking great. So this over here is the waterfall scene. And yeah, we also have some English things.
Please remain seated for the durations of the ride.
And for the same waterfall thing, we also have like an English line.
Look out! That was close.
Which I think will fit just perfectly. So yeah, what do I want to do with these? Well, of course, I'm not going to be able to put them in just yet, because I want to not put in the voice lines until I'm 100% sure we're not going to change anything about the entire ride anymore. Because if we change anything about the ride, then the duration of the ride changes, and we have to basically redo all the voice lines and put them all back in. So that would just be a waste of time. But what we can do is already edit them a little bit, because I have this program that I got in a Humble Bundle once. It's Magic's Video Sound Cleaning Lab. So let's just take in one of the voice lines. So we'll just take the first voice line that we're going to need for the ride, which is probably I'm going to play this in the queue because we don't have that much space. What I had in my head was that leading up to the cave you would hear like, please stay seated, welcome to the Congo River, and a little fact about the Congo River, like, oh, it's the second largest river in the world, but there's not that much space for it unless we move this back, which I don't feel like doing because I'm actually really happy with the layout at the moment. It wouldn't matter that much, but I don't know. I feel like we should be able to just make it work. Have the please remain seated and stuff like that play in the queue. And then here you just have welcome to the Congo River. It's the second largest river. And then pretty right away it will start with the fact about the Goliath beetle. So it's going to be a little bit in quick succession over here. But after that it eases up, of course, because you're going to have a bit more time between each thing. But yeah, let's just take this file, which is Thai for please remain seated and don't feed or provoke the animals. And I don't want to do that. I just want to... Yeah, right. So we've got that. So in this program called Magic's Video Sound Cleaning Lab, it's called Video Sound because it's the goal of the program is to, like, you can put in a video and you can use this program to clean the audio of the video, like remove wind noises, clicking noises, stuff like that. But it also has a bunch of other cool effects that you can add. Special effects. You can put in telephone sound, and that is going to make it sound a lot shittier. And I think that's just perfect to make it sound like it's being played on those speakers. Because otherwise I think it would be too clean. Alright, so here we have the original sound.
Please remain seated for the durations of the ride. Do not feed.
And this is the edited one.
Please remain seated for the durations of the ride. Do not feed or provoke the animals.
Now, if that doesn't sound more realistic to you, then I don't know what does. I love it. I'm not going to have it in there for now. But, oh, something's dying. That's great. That's Iben's problem. So, yeah, I love it. We do have to boost the volume a little bit, I think. But I think in the end, I really do think it's going to sound great. So, yeah. Alright, so just a quick little update about these rocks over here, because as you can see I tore down all of the realistic tropical rocks that I had used in this area and replaced them all with faux rocks. And that is because I kind of got mic'd for the first time, I guess. Mike said that the tropical rocks, they looked too naturalistic, too real in a way. It didn't look like a human built this cave. It looked, yeah, just naturalistic. So he wasn't a big fan of that, and I kind of agreed with him as I was building this cave for the first time. It did feel that way to me as well, but I kind of just went along with it because it looked good. But it doesn't just need to look good, it needs to look real, and real things don't always look good. It's a very counterintuitive thing, but yeah, I think this looks pretty freaking cool, and I'm trying to get some, like, even make the faux rocks even fauxer by adding some of this stuff. Although the LODs are kind of messing it up a little bit, as you can see over there. So yeah, still have some work to do here to make this look even better, but so far, so good. Now the only thing that kind of needs a bit more thought is that this is kind of my initial plan of the aardvark habitat. I wanted to use these kind of things that Haribo also used in his reptile house in Missoula Zoo. But I don't know, I already wasn't very happy with them in the first place. This was just kind of a proof of concept, but yeah, I didn't like them that much to begin with, and now with kind of the new design requirements, I guess, I definitely want to do this entirely differently, so I'm gonna have to come up with that tomorrow. Because it is time to go to bed for me. Alright, it's been a while since I recorded anything. I've been really busy with school stuff and whatever. I'm not going to go into that. I have been building every now and then, and overall it's added up to quite a large amount of progress. So let's quickly go over all of that. First of all, over here in the village, I think you saw a glimpse of the building that I was planning here. I kind of changed it a little bit already, making it a little bit less big, less expensive, but the idea that I had was that there would be a kind of a playground in here in the middle for parents to kind of let their kids lose some energy before sitting in a boat for what is probably going to be like quite a while. Like, I think it is going to be like a maybe 10, maybe even 20-minute ride, maybe even longer. I'm not actually sure yet. So yeah, thought it'd be pretty nice to have a playground here for that reason. Also, vending machine to get a little snack, a little something before you go in. And first, this was a non-purpose kind of extra building, but I figured we could put a toilet building in there. So I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna fit the toilet into this, because those things are quite bulky. But yeah, that is pretty much that. The playground is gonna kind of go in between this little building, where there's going to be a slide going outside. I still have to make a new slide because it's going to have to curve the other way around as to not go through the vending machine. But I used my own playground set to just kind of lay it out, and I think I'm going to keep most of it, just recolor it a little bit. Also, I made the name of this little playground the Okavango, which is just a stupid pun. The Okavango River has nothing to do with the Congo River. They are miles apart, but I think the pun is worth it. I freaking love it. So yeah. Other things that I've been doing include kind of sightline stuff, blocking out the sights into the kind of fogged area, into the Okapi area. I want that to be hidden from the walking route. I want that to be exclusive to the boat ride. So there is things blocking it over here and over there. And there's going to be a ton of foliage over here. This middle area is going to be very jungly. So hopefully from the walking route you're not going to be able to see into that either. So next up, let's just kind of go around the boat ride. But first, maybe just a little peek into the backstage. Where I haven't been doing too much, just trying to clean up this little tunnel a little bit. There's going to be kind of staircases and stuff around here, but one kind of fun thing is that I put in a kayak. This is from Haribo's kayak or canoe rental thing on the workshop, and I thought maybe the staff actually would have a kayak here for if the boats break down or if they need to do anything, reach anything along the water. They could take a kayak or a canoe or something to, for instance, clean the windows on the aardvark habitat, which I kind of started to look at just now. So in the previous clip I mentioned that I wasn't sure if I was gonna make the aardvark habitat the way I was planning on. After Iben said that he thought it looked fine, it looked fake enough, so to say, I went through with it, but I did end up just kind of ripping out the designs that Haribo made for Missoula Zoo, just because they looked so much better than the ones that I was making myself. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I still have to kind of detail this side. This side doesn't have any of the plants yet, but on this side you can kind of see all the vines and bushes and stuff, making this really lush and beautiful. So yeah, super happy with that. I had to put in windows. My initial plan was to just have this open, but it turns out aardvark can swim so that probably wouldn't be a very good idea. So I put in some windows, which kind of helped sell the fakeness of it by putting all these black borders around them. So that was pretty cool. Then on the other side over here is going to be the bongo habitat. And yeah, the same issue with the okapi that I think I've probably already discussed. They also can swim, and it's not recommended, therefore, to have them next to the water moat. So I had to make a dry moat in front of the water moat. So moving along, I don't want to spend too much time on this because there's lots more to do. But next up was kind of making retaining walls. We have a lot of steep slopes, and I can't put fake rockwork and stuff everywhere because that will be way too expensive. So I had to make cheap but good looking solutions for that. And one of this was this chain link retaining wall. I tried using the stone lattice pieces that we got in the Africa pack, but because those looked really, really good. Like if you make you can make really cool looking retaining walls and like parking lots in the ground and stuff out of these. The only downside is that when you zoom out, they become way thicker. And that kind of just looked really, really bad, and I really wasn't a fan of that. So I decided to remove that and instead use chain link with rubble underneath it, and I thought that looked pretty freaking cool. I'm really happy with what this is looking like, and it keeps kind of a lot of that nature vibe because we've got all these plants growing over it, which have taken over the years. And then as we move to the next kind of areas, we have more of that same retaining wall, but now there's also a lot more dirt and stuff in front of it, and we've got some papyrus growing here. And we have a little fun fact about papyrus. You know, you're not just here to learn about animals, maybe. And also, because there's people sitting on the right and the left, I want to have some things to look at on the left. So a little fact about papyrus, that it's known to be made into paper in ancient Egypt, but they made all sorts of stuff out of it, like boats and beds and mattresses, clothing even. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Fun little fun fact. My brain is shutting down. Let's just quickly go on. Put down some folk rock over here. Put in the bat cave that I was planning on making. I made it a lot cheaper. So the thing with the bats is that the way I pictured it, reading that like okapi like to eat bat poo, for some reason I pictured you have like stalactites covered in bat poop. And the okapi would lick those stalactites. That's what I pictured in my head. But yeah, I guess I thought that bat poo was a lot like bird poo, but it's not. It's just like little droplets of poo, so they wouldn't probably stick to stalactites like that. So that kind of made me change my mind and just make a little simple little cavern and a little fun fact sign. That was actually where I first made that fun fact sign, and then later I put them over there as well. I like them. I think they're a nice little addition. I think it's good that they're in a different style to the animal signs, because they're not as important and stuff like that. So yeah, but anyway, let me quickly play the game because there's something cool about the bats, and it's that they actually it's a video billboard, so they actually blink and stuff, which I'll probably I can quickly show how I made it. Why not? So it is actually super simple. I have one picture, which is, I didn't actually end up using this. So I had a picture that was basically the faux rock texture that I used the modding tools to get it out of the game. And I wanted to have that as like a foreground to kind of blend into the cave a little bit, go from light to dark. But it looked weird and blurry. So I got rid of that. I still do have that texture in there, but you can't really see it anymore because of how dark I made everything. And maybe you can kind of see it over here at the top. Yeah, you can. So that faux rock texture is still in there a little bit. And then I basically have this picture over here, which you can't really tell, but maybe if I put it to the side here, yeah, you can see it a little bit. So it's basically these layers of like waves. They're transparent, but they keep getting darker. And that's kind of what's creating this cave effect that you can see up there. And then what we have is actually just 3 images. Okay, thanks, editor. We've got the bat image. That's just a contour of a bat that I kind of traced from a picture of a real bat. Then we have one picture with eyes open and one picture with the eyes kind of squinting. So yeah, we have a ton of these bats, and they're all just the picture of the bat with their eyes opened. But then every now and then you've got a little group like this, which is the squinting image, then the eyes closed image, and then the eyes open, the squinting again, and then it goes back to the eyes open. So what you get is, I think this is the one that we're currently looking at. If we go frame by frame, you'll see eyes open, squint, eyes closed, squint, eyes open. And that makes it look like they're blinking. It's actually super simple animation, and just kind of randomly spread them about. And that's it. That's creating the blinking bats billboard. So yeah, just a fun little detail. So is there anything else? Yes, big elephant in the room. I had the idea of making the Bonobo indoor area a big aircraft hangar. So I took mine from the Beekse Bergen, which I think that's what this is as well. It used to be a giraffe indoor area. And yeah, I made a bigger one to fit for the Bonobo. And I think that's pretty cool. I'm not going to do that for the rest of the backstage, probably. Because the reason I wanted to have something kind of themed, I guess you could say, is that this is the only indoor area where you're actually going to be passing by with the boat. So I wanted to make that a little bit extra special. And there's actually going to be some windows in here so that you can look inside for if the bonobos are inside. I don't think they ever will be really in a climate like this, but it will be nice regardless. I showed you the other retaining wall, but over here I have a different design for under the bridge, which needs to be a lot steeper and also therefore I think a lot sturdier. So I went with a different design. That's kind of these stacked up rocks. I kind of took it from the Beekse Bergen, which also has a bridge crossing a boat safari, and here you can kind of see those similar kind of piled up rocks, which I thought was a pretty cool thing. So I tried to replicate that using the painted brick trim things, and that looks pretty good, I'd say. So I've been doing a lot of work in the village area over here. I added some custom curbs to the paths. This is something that Tharmachati has all over the place, so I kind of wanted to keep that consistency going. The village itself is based on a whole bunch of buildings that I found on Google Maps. Well, there is no street view in the Congo. You can click on a place name on Google Maps and find some images attached to that place name. So that's how I found a ton of cool reference photos that I based all of these buildings and other things in the village on. So I'm really happy with how this building turned out, in particular the Okafungo, which is a little playground for your kids to lose some energy before you get on the boat ride. There's just a couple of, there's like 2 slides, a small one and a bigger one that you can access from the inside, and then just a couple of things to climb and run around on. There's also, which I thought was quite fun, there's a game of what do you call it in English again? In Dutch it's butter, cheese and eggs. But I just actually forgot what the tic-tac-toe. That's what it is. Tic-tac-toe. I actually played a game of tic-tac-toe with Leaf Productions, who you may know. And this was the result. It was a tie. As you can see, the last thing didn't even get turned because this was just gonna be a tie. These games always result in a tie. if you if either of the parties kind of knows what they're doing. So yeah. That is the Okafungo. Then there is a small toilet building as well. I was trying to figure out what to do with this building after I put it down, and then I realized, there might actually be many people who just want to quickly go to the bathroom before they get on the boat ride, or who come back from the boat ride only realizing halfway through the boat ride that they actually should have gone to the bathroom, so they will probably want to make a very quick run to the bathroom as well. So yeah, adding a toilet building here will seem like a pretty good idea. And then the last building, which is one I put down, it's pretty much one of the first buildings I put down and now finally has an interior. I named it the Kumbu Kumbu souvenir shop. Kumbu Kumbu is Swahili for souvenir, at least that's what Google Translate said. When I tried to find the actual meaning, it was more something like memory, from what I could tell. Still a cool name, and a translation error that might actually be made by the real zoo as well if they don't put in enough research, so who knows. Now, why did I chose Swahili? I just looked up what languages are being spoken in the Congo Republic, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and it's mainly French, from what I can tell, which is why a lot of the signs that I also found online in like pictures of the Congo region are in French. Like over here we have Port de Tharmachati, which is French for, well, you can probably guess. But yeah, apparently they also speak Swahili and a bunch of other languages. Kikongo, Lingala, and Siluba. I've probably butchered every one of those pronunciations. So yeah, I chose Swahili because it's a fun language. And it's kind of your general African language, I think. So yeah, here we have a little interior for the Kumbu Kumbu gift shop. And I've just used a whole bunch of workshop items. First time using Ricey's new gift shop pack that she made for Tivoli, I think. So that was super, super fun because those workshop items are just absolutely amazing. It's incredible. And yeah, just your average, Keyboard Keepers plushies, Iben's own gift shop items, they make their way back into Tharmachati. Some of my own gift shop items that I've made for Beekse Bergen. And the only outlier over here is this bird, which is a hammerkop, one of my favorite birds from Africa and also native to Congo. I mean, they are native to pretty much anything below the Sahara Desert. But those are from the Congo bird pack, Birds of the Congo pack by ZZ. And you can see them right over there. So I thought it'd be fun to add that because when I saw them in the pack, I was like, yeah, that's my boy. That's the hammerkop. So I thought that'd be fun to add. So last thing is the entrance to the boat tour, which has been here for a while, but now I've kind of finished decorating. I put up a sign. I looked up like dock sign, I think. Yeah, that's what I did. I looked up dock signs on Google Images and I saw signs like this and I was like, oh yeah, that could make a fun entrance sign because I was trying to find something a little bit unique. So yeah, made that. Looks pretty cool. And then I also added this little wooden sign which gives a little bit of extra information. I might add more to this if I can figure out any more info that might be worth putting on here. But for now it says the duration and the fact that there's free admission. So that ought to draw some people in. And yeah, then you can go through this queue. I just have some ground terrain coverage, some pebbles, rocks, and some planks to make it a little bit sturdier so you're not just stepping in sand. I had to add all of these rocks to cover up the natural path nubs because those looked a little bit off, especially since we also have wooden posts for this rope fence. So yeah, put down those rocks and that kind of made it look a bit better. It is a little bit crowded in my opinion, but I don't know, I think it looks pretty decent. And then lastly I added some sun shades, and not really for the sun because you've got the trees taking care of that, but I figured if it starts raining here, you might want to just be dry and while queuing. So doing everyone a favor there. And yeah, after that I also added this little thing. I figured, what can I do with this part of the station? Well, I could try to make like a maintenance area, but I'm kind of thinking of moving it to back here. We actually have quite a bit of space over here where we can make a maintenance sort of area as well. And I think that spot might be a bit better, because over here it's right inside of everything. It's getting really, really cramped here if I start adding stuff to this. The only problem is I really don't know what to do with this half of the boat dock. I really wish it just didn't exist. I really wish that if you put the entrance and the exit on the same side, that the other side of the platform would just disappear. But sadly, it doesn't. So I'll think of something to make it look good, I guess. Alright, Goran of the Present here again. That was the last clip I recorded way back half a year ago of making the Congoline. At the end, I was really, really busy with school and other stuff like that, and Iben asked me, hey, are you almost done? We want to record in a week. And I was like, yeah, it's a bit tight, but I can do that. So basically, I had to rush and finish the thing as soon as I could. So I just spent an entire week just cranking out all the habitats and getting all the voice lines to work, just as I had experimented with before. So here I am in the most recent Tharmachati file. So there's actually a couple of things that weren't there before. Iben added these after he made the thing, but I just want to go through the final changes just to wrap up this video nicely. So over here we have the sign for the Congoline. I ended up choosing a nice some nice colors and whatever, and just made some banners like this, and also keep in mind that if you look at it from the back, it would like shine through and you would see it that way. This is made using like font pieces, as well as the Arctic, what are they called? Decorative fabrics. Look at that, amazing. So going along, I made a viewing area for the gorilla habitat, and also I added some very simple climbing frames. As I said, I didn't have that much time, so I kept things rather simple. But I think it ended up working in its favor, just keeping things simple like that. Because I think I mentioned in the video with Iben, making this thing would be incredibly expensive. So if you blow all your budget on making a boat ride, you might not have as much money left to make very fancy habitats as well. So it would make sense that these maybe would be a little bit simple. I also created some educational signs. Those are in the same format as all of Iben's signs. And yeah, we have all these words on buildings. I don't think I mentioned it in any of my clips yet, but when I looked at all those buildings on Google Maps, I noticed a recurring theme of just having huge fonts on the sides of buildings. So that's why we have Congoline over here. That's the same thing with the Kumbu Kumbu souvenir shop. Over here, if we go to the Pygmy Hippo habitat, we have the same thing. We have Pygmy on the side of this building. So yeah, that was really, really neat. So while we're at the Pygmy Hippo habitat, here you can see this one is pretty simple. It's kind of exactly what I envisioned all the way at the start, which is really cool to see. And I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing that entire process, because I'm actually really, I find it's pretty interesting myself to see how much of my initial ideas made it all the way through and are just here right now, which I think is really quite fun. So awesome little trick over here, using the black on the inside of this stall. So I didn't make an interior, but at least it looks like there is space inside there, and the hippo can actually walk into there. So that's neat. Something I haven't shown either is like on the inside over here, I made all of these little bricks to give the impression that the artwork has been like scratching the walls, trying to dig and stuff, exposing some of that brickwork. I thought that was kind of funny. Over here we have the amazing little speaker systems with the cables wrapped around, all made out of a whole lot of font pieces. I tried a lot of different pieces for this, couldn't get anything I liked, so I just caved and used font pieces instead. Just give you the most freedom, you know. Then over here, that waterfall thing ended up doing exactly what I said I would, just an empty space down here with a lot of fog. I ended up making misters, like these fans over here that like blow out vapor, like mist, to create the mist effect. Just, you know, a little bit jankiness to like pulling the curtains back a little bit, you know. I think that's quite fun. Then the okapi habitats, I added a nice mud wall in the back. These are really nice, like naturalistic habitats. And yeah, we got that little moat thing that I designed. Over here we have some more of those backstage buildings. The backstage buildings are also, it really was just a case of pick a nice color and color them that way, and be done with it, basically. And then here we have the bonobo backstage, as per the husbandry manual, having 2 separate spaces that you could close off if you want to. You can see that this thing would be able to be sealed shut. Also having doors that have like mesh in front of it so that the keepers can see whether there is a bonobo behind the door when they open it. Yeah, the back area of it is not detailed at all, just only the thing that you could actually see. Like you can see there's like a tile floor there, which I thought was quite nice. Also quite nice is that on the other side we have a ladder going up, and over here there's a keeper standing here. They could feed the bonobos from here, throw some food down. I thought that was quite nice. Also, this is a place where they can access all of the plants that are growing on top of these walls, because you want to keep these plants nice and trimmed, because if they grow too much and start hanging over the edge, then the bonobo could reach them and use them to escape. So of course you want to have that nice and accessible. Then the bonobo habitat itself, I just grabbed some climbing frames that I made for the Beekse Bergen and repurposed them here. I recolored them a little bit, rearranged them a little bit, but yeah, using those saved a lot of time that I so desperately needed. Other time-saving things was using this foliage, which I took out of the orangutan area. I basically stole a lot of these foliage things that Iben already made. And why wouldn't I? I mean, it's just efficient and it keeps consistency across the entire zoo. So yeah. Here also a nice Beekse Bergen inspiration, this kind of gorilla thing inside of the hill. I thought that was quite nice. And they can, if I recall correctly, they can actually use it as shelter. Yep, as you can see. So they will actually take shelter under there, and you'll be able to see them from the boat ride, but not from the walking trail, which I think is nice. You want to prioritize the boat ride as much as you can. So yeah, that brings us all the way back around. And there's some more little huts and canoes, all taken, like elements taken from those reference photos. I ended up removing that loading dock, and I didn't really know where to incorporate it, so I just kept it out. I think I've actually never shown the station during this video, so yeah, this is based on one of those reference photos from the same area that this sign came from, Lukalela, I think it was called. The most notable things here are these little folders, like bring a booklet along the ride, no additional cost. The booklet will give you all of the information. I ended up removing those little signs about the papyrus and the bats, because I thought they looked a little weird, especially since they were in English and not in Thai. So I thought the booklet would provide you with all of that information instead. So yeah, that was the idea there. Other than that, there's like a life-saving thing, just some random backstage stuff and decoration for the area. And yeah, that is just about all I wanted to talk about. I think everything else has pretty much been mentioned. Oh wait, actually one thing I should mention is cool little backstage path. That's not it. Now that it's been like 7 or 8 months since the original video came out, I think I can finally come forward and show a little Easter egg that I put in. I removed New Zealand from the map. And I thought, I was hoping, like I knew no one would notice, and I thought it was hilarious. So if you're from New Zealand, don't be offended. It's just a meme. Like there's a whole subreddit about maps without New Zealand, and I thought it was just so funny. I only did it for the bongo as well. Like the gorilla one is fine. It has New Zealand in it, just right over there. But it's a stupid joke. So yeah, that is it. Oh wait, no, that's not it. There's one more thing I want to talk about, which I mentioned during the video, but I'll explain it a little bit more here, and that is where it all went wrong. So, as I explained in the video with Iben, the audio did not exactly end up working the way I hoped it would. Of course, at the start of this video, you saw the little experiment I did on the empty map with a single boat ride and 5 signs that I synced audio up to. And I don't know how well I explained it, but the idea was that every speaker would have its own audio file, and they would all be synced up with each other and synced up to the boat ride, so that if you were to stand near one speaker, you would only hear, like if you stand near the Goliath Beetle speaker, you would only hear the Goliath Beetle, blah 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 blah. Wait a few minutes, next boat comes by, the Goliath Beetle, blah 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 blah, etc. for each of the speakers. So this would be just like the bongo, blah 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 blah. The pygmy hippo is not native to Congo, blah 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 blah. The pygmy hippo is, and it was really cool that worked in that test map, because yeah, that would mean that you sync up one boat and all the rest of the boats would continue to be synced up. Like I set up the entire boat ride that way. I could actually show you the settings I used for that, because I took quite some experimentation as well. So the load rules is any load with a minimal waiting time and a maximum waiting time of 46 seconds, which is exactly like the length of the ride divided by the number of boats. So that made it so that exactly when a boat leaves, so when a boat it comes full circle, then the next boat leaves, and when it comes full circle, then the next boat leaves. So that kept the audio in sync, basically. So that was really important for the audio stuff. But sadly, what ended up happening was that I don't know if it's because of how big Tharmachati is as a zoo. So it's a lot slower. It loads very slow. It takes like almost 20 minutes to load into the zoo, which is ridiculous. Or if it's because of how many voice lines there were. Like I think it was like 15 or something. But yeah, what ended up happening was that the audio files were not in sync with each other, and that was the only thing that kind of the only requirement for this thing to work. So I ended up doing a couple of experiments, like just putting down like several speakers over here, playing the audio files, and you could tell that they were not in sync with each other. And of course, if the audio is not in sync with each other, then I can sync up the boat to one of the audio things as much as I want, but if the audio is not in sync with each other, it's not going to be in sync with the boat either. So yeah, that just didn't work. So I had to resort to making just one audio file for the entire boat ride, and then syncing that up to a boat, and then only that boat would have the proper audio. So right now, if you were to take the boat ride, or if you were to stand here, you would hear the entire audio thing coming out of this speaker. So this speaker would also say like, oh look, it's a hippo, oh no, a waterfall. And yeah, that's what I wanted to avoid, because that's not what you would have. So Frontier, if you're watching this, you're probably not, especially not an hour into the video, but please give us the ability to sync audio files to a trigger. Like, have a boat, or any ride really, trigger something that plays the audio file. Like we just got in the last update, we got this amazing thing. This thing. And I think people are sleeping on this. This is an item that you can give a custom audio file. And if a guest, if a guest walks up to it and presses the button, it plays that audio file. That is so cool, and you can do so many cool things with that. Please, let us do more cool things. Triggers to trigger audio and video. That would be so cool. We could make such amazing rides that way, because the rides are just boring now. Like, yeah, cool, you have a little bite. Like, give us triggers that can play audio, play video, triggers that can stop the boat, stop the ride for a moment, like a little pause station, so they can like stand still next to a habitat for a moment before they move on. Like, stuff like that will allow us to make such cool rides, but as they are right now, the rides are just kind of lame. I think also things like variable speed would be really nice, because right now you set the ride to 1 speed and it goes the entire way. If you go uphill, you need to have a certain speed, because otherwise it won't have enough power to get uphill. I'm ranting. I should stop ranting. This video is long enough as it is. So yeah, Frontier, please improve the rides. That would be really nice. They're kind of lame right now, and that's why I don't think I see many people make rides because of that, because they're just kind of boring. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed seeing the progress of the Congoline boat tour in Tharmachati Zoo. Again, if you haven't already, you can watch the full tour and see everything that I didn't show in here, which I don't think is that much actually, but you can also see Iben's reaction to it. He went in pretty blind, so it was really nice to see his first genuine reaction. I am in Tharmachati Zoo again, so it is kind of relevant I'm making this video. It's probably going to take a very long time, but I am working on the African savanna area in the back over there. I'm not going to show you too much because I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, you can look forward to that sometime in the future. It'll probably be a couple of months again, because I'm also working on Beekse Bergen, and I'm also working on St. Reginald's Zoo, which should be coming out in about a week and a half from now. So hope you look forward to that as well. I'm going to leave you guys here. Hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. We just passed 1,000 subscribers. That's freaking amazing. Goodbye.